All right, good evening, folks. Welcome to Friday Night Fun Night on Kirk's Law Corner. Some of you have been over there waiting already on YouTube. No way to no way to set it up like that on Facebook, so I have to wait for a couple minutes here. Maybe everybody on Facebook thought I went camping. Oh, there's a couple people. Oh man, it's hot weather. Whew. It's a warm one and it's smoky. Hi, Kelly. Oh, let's see if I can. I know it messes with it though. Hang it. Oh man. Howdy, everybody out there on YouTubers. Everyone have a good week. Had a had a pretty good week myself. Pretty busy, of course. Um, two of my own court cases there on Wednesday, and Casey's case on Wednesday. Um, hey, Cece, welcome back. Haven't seen you for a little bit. You're over here on YouTube tonight, huh? Not on Facebook? Oh man, yeah, busy week. Had a good meeting, business meeting on Wednesday. Again, more discussion on getting the school going. Uh, Working on putting some of the pieces of the puzzle together that need to be put together for all that to come to fruition. So, want to thank all those that are part of that stuff, and of course everybody on my team uh, discussing those the business plan and that kind of stuff. So, um, as well as everybody here right now and behind the scenes stuff that help make all this happen. But if you'd like to help support the channels and what we got going on, I'd greatly appreciate it. You can send it over through the snail mail there to the office, 6477 West Fairview Avenue, Suite C, Boise, Idaho, 83704. That's those postal money orders, regular money orders, cashier's checks, regular checks, doesn't matter. Cash, wrapped aluminum foil, gold, silver coinage, anything like that. Books that you think I might want to have or read to put in the stockpile and save all these books that are seriously they're destroying them, they're burning them, they're getting rid of them. So we need to be buying these suckers up, collecting them, whatever. Yeah. And Patreon Wednesday night workshop. If you're not on Patreon yet, go check that out. Tier 3, tier 4 gets you into the Wednesday night workshop. And Wednesday we did pretty darn close to 5 hours of laying some stuff out. So for those that are already in Patreon, you'll see some of their comments here, both on Facebook and YouTube, to get in there because this is good stuff. Again, uh, there's lots of stuff that I just can't talk about on here because we're censored. So yeah, of course, share, share, share. Uh, this knowledge is power, right? And without this knowledge, we have no power. You know, God said, "But my people shall perish for lack of knowledge." Um, Knowledge literally empowers us, but the question is once you get the power, do you know how to wield that power? Ultimately, that is the question, right? So, yeah, I wish, Jacqueline, I wish, I wish this background made me feel cooler. Yeah. How you doing, Diesel D's? Good to see you, brother. Yeah, there's a share option right there on YouTube. Click on share. At least it's there for me. What? Says it's rated for a child. Shouldn't be. Should not be. Uh, I have all this stuff set to not made for kids in case I slip up and say a bad word. If I say a bad word, then they can take it down. Yep, age restriction. That's part of the safeguards. When I go to do the setup here to go live, it asks all these questions. So, uh, in order to help protect these videos from getting taken down, I make it the most restrictive as possible. So now you can comprehend why, with everybody's channels getting taken down, is because they're not marking them not made for kids and that they're age restricted. Yep, yep. I'm live on Facebook and YouTube. I prefer law books, right? That's about the only books I read. Honestly, I freaking hate reading, always have. But there's something about reading, studying law that has caught my interest. I mean, that's aside from some car stuff, I don't do hardly any reading. Maybe doing whatever interests me at the time. I'll do some research on other things here and there. But when it comes to books, my whole my whole collection of books is all pretty much law books. I've got some electrical books from electrical school. I've got some computer book stuff from when I went to school for computers, A plus hardware, software, networking systems, and advanced server. Uh, but other than that, I don't really have any other books besides law books. So I wasn't aware that it keeps you from sharing the YouTube. Let me go look here. Last time I checked, let's see. Where? There's that. Of course, that's going to give us some sound. There's the share right there. I can share it wherever. Click on the share. No problem sharing for me. I don't know. Well, no. Let me see here. See what we got on Telegram. Oh yeah. Speaking of which, Telegram, KLC Media Group on Telegram. If you want to get into that group, let's see. I don't see anything. Huh, nothing on Telegram from you. Anyways, and yeah, again, Telegram, KLC Media Group. That's on Telegram there. So if you want to connect over there on Telegram with me, yeah, Bible. There's a good law book, the Bible. So yeah, right. Maybe being YouTube being cornholes, right? Yeah. Well, I got something interesting to share tonight, and it's a little forthcoming, a little telltale sign of what's to come here shortly. I know. Again, I keep trying to explain to people that there are two different things happening at the same time. One's being tore down, and the other one's trying to save itself. Okay, so we still have the existing deep state cabal going on, and we're working on taking that down. Right? I mean, it's going to take some time, but this is going to be quite interesting. Let's see. Let's do it this way. All right. Move this up there. Move this one over here. Now, this might be a little fuzzy because it is fuzzy for me to begin with. And you start blowing this sucker up a little bit, it just gets out of hand. But, oh, okay. I want to let me do it myself. All right, here we go. So, a second Declaration of Independence by the 50 lowercase United States of America. This is great right here. Then on this journey to free myself from my dead entity, yet I don't know how to actually do this. It's frustrating. Um, you're a man. Boom, just freed yourself. And anything that comes in conflict with that, void for any effect, for fraud. I'm a creation of God. Plain and simple, I'm a man created by God. That's what it says in the Declaration of Independence. All men are created, right? Created equally. As we got to go back to the Bible. God created mankind. Man didn't create man. Man didn't create shit. See, there you go. I slipped right there. So that's a fact. Statement of fact. Try to rebut that. You're free. It's that simple. You know, something I covered in Patreon Wednesday night workshop. You know, Law of Nations there talks about when the child becomes of age, it's up to him to basically declare his status. Why aren't you declaring your status? You don't have to do all this fancy paperwork that certain people out there are pushing. Now, I make a statement of fact that I'm a creation of God, a man on the land. Try to rebut that. You can't. So we're good. That's how you do that. Anywho, here we go. Trusting our cause is just, and having prayed for the fortitude to brave spiritual wickedness in high places. So we're talking about the spiritual realm of things, right? We citizens of America make this announcement to the shareholders of U.S. Corp, including the City of London, the British Crown, and the Vatican, and their operatives in the media, government, and society. Second Declaration of Independence by the 50 United States of America. With the utmost respect and admiration for the founders of America and the framers of the original Declaration of Independence, American people humbly emulate their thoughtful, measured response to the certain perpetual and ascending tyranny and despotism. We too believe it is the moral obligation of those privileged with knowledge and opportunity to work on behalf of the people, that the people are served best when their benefactors choose unity over division, nationalism over globalism, sovereignty over submission, and liberty over oppression, that all human beings are equal in their innate value, that America was founded under God, that the God of America is just, peaceable, and tolerant, that our natural rights as sovereigns come from God, and that our God given rights may not be revoked, suspended, negated, or abridged without due process. There you go. Reiterating the Declaration of Independence and laying the smackdown, right? I mean, that kind of verbiage right there could be put in an affidavit. You going into court or something, there you go. Try to rebut that. You can't. It's factual. Facts of law dictate that. What distinguishes the Second Declaration of Independence from its progenitor is the object from which we seek independence. What's the object we're talking about here? Whoops, wrong mouse. That one doesn't work on this screen. That would be the U.S. Court, City of London, the British Crown, Crown Temple Bar, the Vatican, and their operatives in the media government society. Regrettably, to our great misfortune, shame, and dismay, and despite the recurrent warnings and accorded safeguards, a cabal of foreign investors and privateers have managed to gain possession of our land, our wealth, our labor, our well-being, our future, and even our children. Although history has become muddied with varied interpretations of cardinal events, including the superstitious adoption of a second corporate constitution. Huh. That be the double secret, behind the scenes, 1,000-page corporate constitution that I've referred to before, and the uncertain ratification of several amendments destructive to the people. It matters only that one or more alien groups lay claim to America and its assets. Rather than speculate on motives and weigh unprofitably the biased accounts, unverifiable information, and plenteous theories and opinions, we engage a perfect solution wherein we exact independence from all claimants, past and present. It's kind of like a repudiation, right? Proclaimed, identified, or veiled. As such, the usurpers named in this declaration are representative and not specific or exhaustive, regardless of supposed ancestry, precedent, instrument, or process. Although simply emanating transgressions, or pardon me, enumerating transgressions and usurpations would suffice to justify insularity, recounting significant events reveals important facts that are missing from history. Imagine that. These forgotten facts add insight, perspective, and clarity, illuminating our best way forward. Number one, the inevitable Civil War destroyed America's economy, ripped families apart, and cast questionable shadow on the future of a once promising nation. America was in trouble financially and needed a massive infusion of capital to get back on its feet. Now, in a way, I disagree with that. They're not telling the truth. Those deep state operatives that you just referenced above are the ones who financed the Civil War. Both sides. And, the North won. Well, who was the North? Again, red and blue, right? That's British. Red and blue colors. We're being deceived with Republican and Democrats. Both are bad. Both are bad. We're not supposed to have parties in our form of government. Especially interfering with elections. Anybody who wants to run for office can run for office, period. You don't have to have these pre-elections elections. Oh, well, all of the Republicans come together and we vote to see who the best Republican is, and then that Republican gets to run for office. And all the Democrats come together and we vote for the best Democrat, and then that best Democrat and best Republican run for office. No. How about everybody who wants to run for that office runs for that office, and all of their names get put on the ballot? Oh, that would be, flooding it and taking away votes. Now, it'd make it a lawful election where anybody can run for office. You don't have to go through some sort of pre-screening belonging to some frickin' party. No man or set of men are entitled to separate emoluments or privileges from the community. But hey, number two, a cabal of nation-building venture capitalists from Europe agreed to finance America's recovery. Well, they also agreed to finance the Civil War. But you forgot that part. But demanded an active role in government to ensure their investment. In 1871, Mirrored in debt, Congress worked out a partnership. Well, wait a minute. According to the Constitution, they wouldn't have that authority. Hmm. In exchange for boundless financial support, the foreign investors would handle America's administrative needs. Hmm. Well, number three. Although initially it seems to be an innocuous concession, the consequences of allowing the nation building venture capitalists to conduct America's business beyond the protections of the U.S. Constitution proved catastrophic. The investors quickly embedded operatives throughout the foreign owned corporate government, and Washington, D.C. began serving the interest of America's finances over the people, not under. So if we're going to say it's a corporation, corporations do not have the power to make law, only bylaws. In 1871, America effectively lost its independence, and the nation building venture capitalists became our new masters. Well, that would be fundamentally altering our form of government and would be repugnant to our law, which is in the Declaration of Independence. They didn't have that authority, did they? Huh. God is our master, and the people, all political power is inherent in the people, not government. So they don't have the power to alter that. So this is calling out the fraud. Fraud vitiates everything from its inception, void ab initio. By the early 1900s, the foreign investors that bankrolled America controlled the major newspapers and news services, enabling them to shape what is reported and how it is to be framed. They had to cover their tracks before being exposed and repudiated by the people. Ah, imagine that. The nation building venture capitalists worked to soften America's I can't even hardly see them, imperturbable, elevated system of government. The founders had formed a constitutional republic instead of a democracy, specifically to prevent citizens in the majority from oppressing those in the minority. By doing what is best for their district or state, rather than enforce the majority will, representatives serve all citizens equally, eliminating the noise, division, and violence intrinsic to democracies. See, this is part of what our founders created is a constitutional republic, a capitalist confederate republic to be more true, factual, and that we laid down the law first, and then government was instituted to secure that law. That law is off limits to the public servants because it came before we instituted government, and the sole purpose of instituting government was to defend those rights from all things foreign and domestic to the people. Foreign to the people, period. People are supposed to be able to live in the private. Government's supposed to take care of everything in the general public or public. Corporations, public and private, those acting in interstate and foreign commerce, and to declare war, Federalist 45. That's it. A limited form of government with very limited powers. All right. Let's see. Minority. By doing what is best for their district or state, whether enforce the majority will representatives serve all citizens equally, eliminating the noise. intrinsic to democracy. Being in control of the narrative, the foreign investors ingeniously promoted the fallacy that America is a democracy. What is that? Hustling, busting, rusting, something, husting, nusting, I don't know. That the deception would lead to unrest and chaos that would make America vulnerable, creating additional opportunities for infiltration and manipulation. They forgot about the American Bar Association infiltrating and invading our republic in 1878. Forgot about that one in here. Proposed an amendment to the Second Declaration of Independence. In 1913, the foreign investors established the Anti-Defamation League to slander anyone who exposes them and their infiltration into American politics. Imagine that. Look what's happened to me. Look what happened to Chris. Think about it. All the naysayers out there, the trolls who talk crap about me. Now I got a couple member bars out there trying to disparage me. You're part of that Anti-Defamation League. You're part of the operative. You stick out like a sore thumb because you never talk about the law. You never cite any law. Just a bunch of gibberish out there trying to defame me, to slander me. Think about that, folks. Must be getting over the target where now I'm all of a sudden now getting members of the bar out there starting to do videos about me. But I'd challenge each and every one of you. I'll do a show with you right here, right now, live, anytime. You think you know something about the law? Oh, you went to law school for 3 years. Woohoo! I've been studying this crap for 26 years. Even if you had to go to law school for 7 years, I'm still 19 years past the 7 years of law school. And I by far have outread anything you've read in your bar school. And let's make no mistake, they are bar schools. They all are approved by the American Bar Association. They are private schools. It's a private test to make sure that you learn that bar test, right? To make sure you learned the indoctrination they wanted you to learn, which they didn't teach the law. Heck, we've had several members of the bar already say that. Just had another one recently say it. Yeah, they didn't teach us the law in law school. Coming straight from a member of the bar right now. Currently practices. God bless her soul. She has no problem admitting it and wants to learn, wants to do something about it. God bless her. So in 1913, the foreign investors established the Anti-Defamation League to slander anyone who exposes them and their infiltration into American politics. In 1913, by way of the 16th Amendment, the foreign investors were granted the authority to tax the American people directly, something expressly prohibited by the original Constitution. That the people would willingly subject themselves to forced confiscation of their property, their labor, is illogical, putting the legitimacy of ratification in question. That's right, because that would be fraud. They don't have the authority to alter the fundamental law or the Constitution. That goes back to the Law of Nations written by Amr Patel. Book 1, Chapter 3, Section 34. It's a capital offense to do what they did. It's what we call domestic violence, internal insurrection, an attempt to overthrow the Constitution and war against the people. You think our founders were dummies? Oh, heck no. Right, Jacqueline? No, you had a member of the bar tell you don't waste your time with me. Because he doesn't want you to know the truth. They want to keep you stupid and dumbed down. And the reality here is the bar doesn't practice real law. It's the bar code. None of it's law. None of it. I mean, it's completely illogical to think that. I mean, this goes back to the schoolyard bully. Give me your lunch money. Give me your milk money. No. It also talks about it in the report of the Commission on Unalienable Rights that are the God-given rights, and one of them, the right to the fruits of our labor, is outside of the sphere of governmental control. You know, again, reading Federalist 45, interstate and foreign commerce, the Commerce Clause, that's a limited jurisdiction. Right there. Article 3, Section 2, Admiralty jurisdiction. Admiralty and maritime jurisdiction. That's out there on the water and in the military. Period. Over corporations, public and private. All right. Number 8, 1913, by way of the 17th Amendment, the foreign investors breached an important safeguard that protected our constitutional republic from infiltration by enemy forces. Previously, senators were statesmen appointed by the respective state legislatures as a check on the House of Representatives, raiding the public treasury. Henceforth, senators would run as glorified House representatives, reduced to promising free public money and services for votes. That's an emoluments violation. The authenticity of ratification is unlikely because the state legislatures would not willingly surrender their authority to bridle the appetite of the people, the people's house, nor would they ascend to transfer more power to the federal government, opening yet another door for the international bankers to buy the influence they need to further their grip on America. So see, I've talked about this before, is that the representatives, well, the senators, right? They were supposed to have been delegates sent to the United States of America, Congress, to deal with a specific subject. And that's it. They weren't supposed to actually be elected officials and sit there all freaking year long. So that's going to go away. You see how we're getting back to our republic here? Henceforth, senators would run as glorified House representatives from the free public, not surrender their authority to the nor would they cede to transfer more power to the federal government, opening yet another door for the international bankers to buy the influence they need to further their grip on America. That right there is foreign emoluments violations. Remember, they're supposed to be receiving a just compensation and no foreign emoluments. Emolument is any advantage, profit, or gain received due to one's position of employment or holding of office. Okay, we dictate what the emoluments of that office is. Anything that's outside of the scope and authority of that emolument that we create, we dictate, is a foreign emolument. Right there. That's what they're talking about. So number 9, in 1913, the foreign investors gained control of our currency by pushing through Congress the Federal Reserve Act. Establish a foreign-owned central banking system, despite the dire warnings of Presidents Thomas Jefferson, Andrew Jackson, Abraham Lincoln, Andrew Johnson, James Garfield, and William McKinley. The Federal Reserve Act passed with the help of compromised legislators between 1:30 and 4:30 a.m. on December 22nd, when most members were away on the Christmas holiday. What the heck were they doing there? There's not a quorum. You got to have a quorum to do business. And then again, you can't transfer power because you don't have the power to alter the fundamental law or the Constitution. You bunch of traitors, treasonous bastards. In 1920, Congress, by way of Independent Treasury Act, turned over the U.S. Treasury Department and its assets, our gold and silver, to the Federal Reserve, the central banking system owned by the foreign investors established in 1913. In 1921, Council on Foreign Relations was formed under cover of advancing America's interest in the world. In fact, the CFR is sponsored by the City of London and serves to advance the interests of the foreign-owned Federal Reserve by directing the President, Congress, and the narrative through operatives in their news and information networks. Imagine that. In 1925, come on, get up there. The owners of the Federal Reserve formed the United States Corporation. Just 5 out of the 100 shares issued were identified, with the balance of the shareholders of U.S. Corp remaining anonymous, yet the money trail leads to the City of London, the British Crown, and the Vatican. The tax dollars were sent to the Internal Revenue Service. The tax dollars we send to the Internal Revenue Service go to the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank, which are under their control. Oddly enough, I've talked about all this stuff before. The official formation of the U.S. Corp set the stage for the transformation of America from a constitutional republic of the people to a corporation owned by foreign interests and their families. Over the next few years, the individual states were registered as corporations as well, making them franchises of the U.S. Corp. Representatives and senators neither represent nor work for the American people. Rather, they are managers of U.S. Corp, and as such, they are obligated first to serve its best interest. The president is not just the president of America, he's the CEO of U.S. Corp. Think about that. The abbreviated term United States was purposely used to represent both America and U.S. Corp. to blur the distinction between them, Similarly, the original U.S. Constitution was quietly supplanted by an imposter, corporate, all capital letters Constitution that bears a similar name and appearance, again, to confuse and deceive the American people. Specifically, the Constitution for the lowercase u and s of America, United States of America, was replaced by the all capital letters, the Constitution of the United States. So I'll tell you right now, the Constitution that we look at today is not the original 1787 Constitution. Now, some people call it dog Latin, but it's not dog Latin, folks. That's called sign language, and it's not a language. Here's your sign. It cannot be equated with the English language or any other language. It's not proper English. So, all I'm out there doing that full colon, hyphen, colon crap, you're a fraud. With the latter's corporate statutes becoming the supreme law of America? I don't think so. In 1933, the U.S. federal government declared bankruptcy. Huh. Well, I guess the corporation went bankrupt, not the people, because you demanded all of our gold and silver. So clearly the people weren't bankrupt. Maybe the corporation was, but not the people. You stole the people's gold and silver again. Believe me, folks, this is not the first time in history that they stole the gold and silver. All right. And President Roosevelt, its acting CEO, signed over to U.S. Corp. America and its assets, including the people and our labor. The bankruptcy of 1933, that was arguably unnecessary, ceremonial in nature, and contrived and orchestrated without the consent of the people, completed the heist and transfer of America and its assets to the same foreign interests who own U.S. Corp. Imagine that. In the bankruptcy of 1933, U.S. Corp forced the American people to surrender their gold in trade for debt notes called doll hairs, fiat currency that has no real value, and that is depreciated continually through inflation to where it's worth just 4 cents today. So each one of them doll hairs you got is worth about 4 cents. 4 cents of what? I guess that's double 2 cents. Can you double your common sense? Clearly I am. The bankruptcy of 1933 put U.S. Corp in a state of emergency, allowing it to implement Admiralty law, made evident by the gold fringe around the American flag. When in a U.S. courtroom, you are considered at sea and not a citizen of America. Okay, so they're basically attributing the gold fringed flag as under admiralty law of what? Of the sea. And what I found is it's admiralty jurisdiction. It's the High Court of Admiralty of England, pursuant to the statutory law of England of 1881. So that didn't even happen in 1933. That happened clear back in 1881. The bankruptcy of 1933 put U.S. Corp in a state of emergency, allowing it to implement admiralty law, made evident by the gold fringe around the American flag. When in a U.S. Corp courtroom, you are considered at sea and not a citizen of America. Come on, why is that messing with me? Okay. In 1936, U.S. Corp began issuing Social Security numbers to turn otherwise sovereign Americans into trustees of corporate fictions, making our labor taxable, which would otherwise be unconstitutional. According to U.S. Corp, you are not a live man or woman, but rather a representative of a corporation in your name. Right? Pirates and privateers that come onto the land. In 1945, the anonymous owners of U.S. Corp founded the United Nations under the guise of spreading peace, civility, and humanitarian assistance throughout the world. Yet the true purpose is to condition citizens to recognize in international authority, a first step in establishing their promised new world order, in which the U.S. Constitution is retired to make room for a universal totalitarian government. Why do you think Trump pulled us out of the UN? He let him have it over there. Nikki Haley let him have it over there. United Nations, this is number 20. United Nations publications Agenda 21 and Agenda 30 reveal the New World Order's agenda, calling for the end of nationalism, patriotism, private property, individual rights, the two parent family automobiles, and air travel, and the right to defend ourselves from a tyrannical government. Hmm. In keeping with their goal of sustainable development, they plan to reduce the population by over 90%. I don't know, ridding America and the world of dissidents and useless eaters. Hmm. The remaining useful servants are to live in coastal communities wherein they will be stacked and packed into micro apartments. The only thing standing in the way of their new world order is a strong, prosperous, and secure America. To achieve their goal of world domination, America must lose its sovereignty and leadership position. And thus why the owners of U.S. Corp quietly work to undermine our culture, systems, beliefs, standards, aspirations, and morals for over 100 years, employing unrestrained methods and tactics. Wow. Number 22. With millions of dollars at their disposal every year from taxing our labor, the owners of U.S. Corp fund leftist nonprofit groups, including the what is that? Pardon me, Council on Foreign Relations, that work to subvert our nation and silence anyone in opposition. They ingratiate. I can't hardly make out that one. It's something. Inaugurate. Hmm. The officials and administrators who run the largest charities MA, the APA, the CDC, the FCC, the SEC, and the FDA, and they embed operatives in the State Department, the Department of Justice, and the intelligence agencies, official and covert, including the NSA, FBI, and the CIA. Huh. In trade for generous grants and endowments, the anonymous something there owners of U.S. Corp shape the curriculum and political sentiment of the public schools, colleges, and universities, ensuring the next generation, our children, harbor disdain for their country, their history, their culture, their family, and even their ethnicity. They were just so close. The anonymous owners of U.S. Corp keep the people in the dark about the true history of America, the greatest heist and cover up in history by controlling public education. Yeah, did you go to law school? Did you pass? If you don't go to law school, there's no way that you could know anything about the law. Yeah, considering the Declaration of Independence talks about it being self-evident, and it's the common law, the common sense law. We're already supposed to know all that kind of law stuff without having to go to law school. That comes from God's law, from the Bible. Remember that? Schools used to be the church. School during the week and church on Sunday. I think we need to get back to that. The anonymous owners of the U.S. Corp keep the people in the dark about the true history of America. I'm one of those men who are standing up against that and diligently trying to research and bring forth facts of law as it is written. So it cannot be rebutted. They're facts of law. Period. So to sit there and say that I don't know anything about the law because I didn't go to law school, you're full of crap. Number 25. Come on. The foreign owners of U.S. Corp prop up puppets throughout society and government, like the bar, allowing them to make millions of dollars in trade for perpetuating their agenda of secrecy and subjugation of America. These traders include prominent politicians, newsreaders, pundits, authors, movie stars, and the heads of social news and information network, major sports teams, music and entertainment industries, and corporate conglomerates, the American Bar Association, responsible for over 90% of the products designed, manufactured, advertised, purchased, financed, and consumed. Leaving out the bar here. By way of funding campaigns and fixing elections, the owners of U.S. Corp obligate the most influential politicians to further their agenda of breaking America socially and financially. They promote disdain for country, dependency on government, indulgence, lawlessness, and immorality to spoil and dishearten citizens, predisposing them to trade their sovereignty for the false promises of an international unelected government sponsored by the world elite. By way of the Democrat Party and operatives, posing as television hosts, entertainers, journalists, pundits, and policy experts, there's the bar, policy experts, the owners of U.S. corp brainwash and condition the people to accept invalid arguments, pseudoscience that call for globalism, socialism, and a godless society in which technology is our moral compass. Give me a second. I'm going to be right back. It takes just a short second. Needed some water. All right. By way of the Democrat Party, that's number 27, and operatives posing as television hosts, entertainers, journalists. Oh, I forgot to read that. By way of the Democrat Party. Well, I'm sorry. It's not just the Democrat Party. It's red and blue. Posing as television hosts, entertainers, journalists, pundits, and policy experts. Okay, the owners of the U.S. corp brainwash and condition the people to accept invalid arguments and pseudoscience. That's the bar members. Who else out there? Well, yeah, you don't know anything about the law if you didn't go to law school. Really? You've been brainwashed and conditioned to believe that crap. They call for globalism, socialism, and a godless society in which technology is our moral compass instead of the Bible, instead of the 10 Commandments. You know, thou shalt not bear false witness. The operatives, number 28, the operatives of the foreign-owned U.S. Corp are deeply rooted throughout the news and information networks, academia, government, and society. You know, think about this critical race theory stuff that's coming out. It's been going on in our schools for a while. Colloquially referred to as the deep state, the shadow government, and the swamp. The operatives perform with a hive mind because they are guilty of treason, a crime punishable by death. They are desperate to hide their complicity, and thus they systemically target, demonize, and even suicide all who threaten to expose their treachery and malfeasance. The operatives of U.S. Corp favor unbridled immigration because it is the most expedient way to destroy a country from within. Flooding America with illegal immigrants without allowing the time to assimilate ensures arrogance, separation, and anti-Americanism, and anger, animosity, and conflict with the people. By design, we can also expect a steady dilution of the principles, ethics, and systems that made America successful. Moreover, the majority of illegal immigrants are likely to vote for Democrats who legislate according to the will of the foreign owners of U.S. Corp. Now, this next part here, I seriously, it's so blurry there. I can barely make out what it says. So I'm going to skip number 30. Thankfully, that's the only real part there that's super blurry. It's still a little bit blurry here, but I mean, the whole thing has been blurry to begin with. But in conjunction with skewed statistics, deceptive polls, false facts, and the emission of divisive information, the owners of U.S. Corp promoted anti-Americanism and their New World Order agenda. Fake news keeps the people disoriented, misinformed, and divided over ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, religion, and economic class. Again, God created everything, right? God created all of mankind. You're a kind of man. You're either a man or you're a man with a womb. That's why it's woo man, aside from the my going joke that women come with their own warning label. Whoa, man. You were warned, men. Man. Whoa, man. Meanwhile, their debt system enslaves us. Their grip ever tightens through surveillance and flustive race vaccinations and other technologies are deployed to weaken any substantive opposition. In other words, dumb us down, create division, destroy religion and any economic classes, and just totally destroy us. The owners of U.S. Corp are working incessantly to disarm the millions of law abiding patriots who will stand in the way of this totalitarian, oppressive New World Order by way of orchestrated mass shootings. The owners of U.S. Corp will continue to terrorize the people until we assent to comprehensive background checks. The word comprehensive is nebulous and undefined, allowing for a battery of psychological and medical testing, ever expanding until targeted individuals are deemed emotionally unstable and a danger to society. Time to the predictions of every futuristic book and movie, predictions of every futuristic book and movie, patriotic Americans will be disarmed by way of political profiling under the guise of screening for mental health. Number 33. We're getting close to the end here. Through the vast indoctrination machine, the foreign owners of U.S. Corp have combined the people that convinced the people that America is a democracy and that democracy is the highest form of government. This is problematic because democracy is by definition mob rule. I'll go back to what's been attributed to Benjamin Franklin is, well, what's the difference between a democracy and a republic? Well, the democracy is like two wolves and a lamb voting on what to have for dinner. A republic is a well-armed lamb objecting to the vote. This is where we're at, folks. Democracies invariably fail because the majority mob always demands more and more public monies and services. Because through excessive taxation and other socialist-like politics, something in economic ruin, debt, physical collapse, and ultimately social implosion, opening the door for the promised, predicted, dreadful, and ever looming New World Order. Because sovereignty is not sustainable without exposing the ills of democracy. and reestablishing our elevated constitutional republic, we are compelled to make the following proclamations. The word democracy does not appear anywhere in America's founding documents because the framers knew that democracy in any form or disguise is fatally flawed, leading invariably to oppression, unrest, social failure, violence, and death. Imagine that. All to the forms, man. Oh, all modern forms of government are elected democratically. They are differentiated only by who makes the decisions after elections are over. It doesn't matter, two hawks out there, cashier's check or cash my mail, it's all right. Key word there, after elections are over. All modern forms of government are elected democratically. Sure. They are differentiated only by who makes the decisions after elections are over. See, in our republic, all political power is inherent in the people. And according to our form of government as it was laid down, ordained, and established when it was created, that the people retained all of the power. That we no longer have rulers, we have servants. Okay? Switch things around a little bit. Tired of you rulers ruling over and dictating democratically to the people. No, you're the servants. We're the masters. In a democracy, citizens in the majority make the rules, having those in the minority oppressed. Consequently, a democracy is always noisy, divisive, divided, inefficient, unsteady, combustible, fiscally irresponsible, and short lived. America was established as a constitutional republic to avoid the many ills of democracy. In the constitutional republic, those elected must not do the bidding of the citizen majority. Rather, they must do what is best for their district or state despite the majority will. Well, that's not even true either. In this way, all citizens are represented equally and no one is oppressed, making a constitutional republic quiet, steady, efficient, and preferred. No, you're missing a little bit of part of how our form of government was created, that the law was laid down first and that was solid as a rock. The actual bedrock, the stuff we poured the foundation on, you can't mess with the bedrock and you can't mess with the foundation or you completely destroy what's on top of it. And there are certain subject matter jurisdiction, that are off limits. And there are certain people that the entire Constitution and law and government in and of itself is completely outside of the scope and sphere of government. None of their business. America was established as a constitutional republic, correction, a capitalist confederate republic. To avoid the many ills of democracy, in a constitutional republic, those elected must not do the bidding of the citizens' majority. Okay, I just read that one. Although the word democracy feels good, it is founded on mob rule, making it akin to socialism, communism, and every other tyrannical form of government. Finally, oh boy, this is good, guys. Finally, Article 4, Section 4 of the U.S. Constitution resolves any doubt. The United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a Republican form of government. But what else is under Article 4, Section 4? How is that carried out to guarantee a Republican form of government? That comes back on the president, doesn't it? Texas v. White. Telling you, folks, it's a coming. Having exposed the greatest Titan cover up in history, we are able to summarize America and its assets were quietly hijacked. Huh. That's the word verbiage I use. And the cover up has resulted in unthinkable crimes against the people and humanity, allowing the hostile takeover to stand will lead eventually to complete and irreversible subjugation and eradication of truth, justice, and all that is good. Second Declaration of Independence distinguishes the United States of America from the subversive United States Corporation. It asserts that U.S. Corp was formed illegally, no, unlawfully, that it is foreign owned, and that its shareholders have been quietly at war with America for over 150 years. 150 years, folks. Been much longer than that. I'll tell you, again, this has been going on since 400 BC. This has been going on for 2,400 years. Treasonous operatives embedded within government and the fake news networks purposely divide the citizenry and facilitate conflict among the nations to hide the U.S. Corp is and always has been the only real enemy of America. The Second Declaration of Independence also repudiates with conviction U.S. Corp's satanically inspired plan for world governance. In addition to being of, by, and for the people, or for the elite, and not the people, their falsely advertised pseudo-utopian, unelected totalitarian New World Order would supplant America's sovereignty and extinguish forever any semblance of liberty and prosperity. Because natural inclinations predisposed human beings to be short-sighted, malleable, and easily bamboozled. One might presume the American people should bear responsibility for being swindled out of their homeland, inherited from their forefathers who procured and secured it at great expense and much sacrifice, and for slowly but steadily trading their largely unappreciated blessings of liberty, opportunity, and prosperity for trinkets in the form of unearned comforts, frivolous indulgences, and gluttonous pleasures. However, the transfer of ownership from the American people was not conducted openly and with candor, but clandestinely through calculated design and nefarious means without body consent and unconstitutionally. It is for the latter reason that the American people claim their right to rectification, that the greatest heist in history was effected outside the constraints of the U.S. Constitution, and that those who were elected to represent America's best interests transgressed their fiduciary responsibility, imagine that, fiduciary, and exceeded their authority, warrants this proclamation that the American people are the rightful owners of our land, our labor, our well-being, our future, and our children for our benefit and the benefit of our posterity. Yeah. We, the people, ensure domestic tranquility, not government. We, the people, provide for the common defense, not government. We, the people, provide for the general welfare, not government. We are to instruct our servants to discharge the duties of that office, of the emoluments of that office. Poses that fiduciary duty. As with any negotiated peace, after years of atrocities committed by parties at war, we seek neither vengeance nor demand justice for past transgressions. We simply adjure the return of what rightly belongs to the people and avow firmly, emphatically, publicly, and officially that America shall forever remain a sovereign nation. America is a nation, not a country. Free, self-directed, and not affiliated or dependent upon any version or variation of the present planned or innovated new world order. We entreat a bloodless solution wherein you cease all destructive activities, including false flag events, dissolve U.S. Corp, and all the other illicit legal structures and custodial instruments, return our land and assets, including our gold and silver, redirect the tax collected on our labor back to America, and have your deep state and shadow government operatives retire, withdrawing your influence in an orderly fashion so society continues to thrive in trade for you keeping your wealth, your position, and your heads. Oh, that's an offer. In other words, kick rocks, get out of here, pick up your stuff and leave, and give us all our stuff back that you unlawfully seized from us over the years. In response to questions regarding legitimacy, efficacy, and process, throwing off the shackles of national thraldom is elementary and unambiguous, as evidenced by the separation of the 13 colonies from Britain in 1776 and the Mexican people from Spain in 1825. A formal declaration hailed by authorized representatives procures independence that is immediate, whole, consummate, intangible, and unencumbered by obligation, condition, or imposition. As we enter grievous territory, we reflect on the precautions around our forefathers forged when they judiciously served the political and familial ties. Severed the political and familial ties that bound them. Our hearts also filled with melancholy, no, that's not, and repudiation. Yet we too are resolute in our posture and position from being confronted with no better option. Despite the manifest peril, the consequences of acquiescence are graver still, compelling us to claim solemnly our independence once again. So, in support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. Now, this part, the 56 signatories of the task force are to be affixed at the time of presenting to Congress the president, the 50 state legislatures, and the governors of the respective states. So there's going to be some 56 signatories of the task force. Sounds like the task force is going to be dictating to Congress, the president, the 50 state legislatures, and the governors of the respective states. So that, my fellow patriots, whether you're in America or not, is at the root of all of it, right? You know, Trump keeps saying, we're going back to 1776. Yep, sure are. That's what's coming, folks. Turn off your damn TVs. Turn off any of that mainstream media crap. Don't believe any of it. Seriously, turn that crap off. You'd have no idea what's really going on unless you go outside and take a look around. And again, 3+ years ago, I was laying this out. I told you so. Ever since about November of 2017, I've been laying this out. All of the executive orders, proclamation executive orders, memorandums, all the stuff that Trump's put out, all the stuff Trump has done. And again, I didn't follow the Q stuff. I followed Trump. I followed the Trump administration. Picked up what he was laying down because I was already in the know. Because I've been studying for 26 years plus. Remember 3 years ago when Trump walked in front of the Queen in England? Later said, we're going back to natural law. And again, I'm reiterating what I just showed you on Monday. We're going back to the common law, folks. State of Washington legislature just changed all their law stuff, right? Back to murder, rape, kidnapping, actual violent crimes are real crimes. The rest of it's all bills of attainers, bills of pains and penalties. Yeah. March of 2020, a little over a year ago, this whole pandemic. And again, the stuff that Chris and I did through E-Clause, right? I didn't want to believe it at first that the Trump administration was watching our shows and learning from us. Took a while to convince me because I just thought, who in the heck, they wouldn't be watching some podunk redneck Idahoan. But it's been made abundantly clear from my own personal friends and other people that I've met along the way. There's just nobody out there that knows this stuff like I do. At least that's putting it out. Obviously, somebody else knows some stuff. But yeah, no, I don't. This has not come out yet. This declaration, second Declaration of Independence. Um, it's it hasn't been presented yet. My guess is the task force is Trump. Okay, so you want to spend some time. If you haven't watched my educational series, I highly recommend it. Do them in a chronological order of things so you get it in a chronological order of things. But when you get in there, you're going to see, I think, was episode 6 or 7 there. I went over the proclamation and executive orders and that kind of stuff at the from the time. Okay, at least the ones that I had right there, and I put it in kind of a one episode, going over what's going on and laying this all out, showing you the executive order, showing you the proclamations. Okay, and that's well after, like I said, starting clear back in November. The real the real first one was when Jeff Sessions come out and put the kibosh on the use of guidance documents. I'm like, well, crap. What do you think the Idaho Code is? That's nothing but a guidance document. Like, we're going back to the common law. They're tearing this stuff down. And then in December 10th, there, Trump did the proclamation reestablishing the rule of law, the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution of the United States of America, and the Bill of Rights. Then December 20th, did the executive order on going after those involved in serious human rights violations, human trafficking, and corruption. 2017. Worldwide. Okay. So we do need to pray for the good people. We're supposed to even pray for the evil ones, right? Pray for our enemies. And this is something I was discussing with somebody today. We're supposed to pray for the evil ones to have a change of mind, a change of heart, change of soul, right? And in hopes that they will have a change, make a change, that God will touch them somehow and change them. As much as I hate to say it, to pray for our enemies, we're supposed to for that fundamental reason. Because, like Jesus said up on the cross, forgive them for they know not what they do. That's why. That's why Jesus come here, right? That's why he sent his son here to figure out what the heck's going on with my creations here. Why are they so messed up? I don't get it. They're supposed to be perfect. They're made in my image. Why aren't they perfect? Because you gave them freedom of choice, and well, they're not robots. So they have feelings and likes and dislikes. And then not only that, this is a spiritual war. We have Satan, we have the evil. How would you know what was good if we didn't have bad? But again, So that's the thing is it's like why he sent Jesus down here to figure out what the heck's going on. So we're supposed to, ask for forgiveness, repent, and don't do that again. But even then, we're all sinners, right? Ain't not one of us perfect. I sure in the heck ain't gonna claim I'm perfect. But I tell you, I'm in a whole lot better place today than I was when I wasn't. So gonna be a party. Yeah. All right. So keep watching those educational series. I know they are cram packed, cram packed with knowledge, right? And see, when I went to go do those, I was at a point where, man, I just got to get this stuff out of my head, get it out of my head, and get it out here to you folks, um, so that you can watch it over and over and over instead of coming to me and asking me for help and me trying to take my time and help each of you individually, one man at a time. It's all right there in the educational series. Keep watching that. Keep researching. You know, you can go to kirkslawcorner.com. Now, I mean, I set up kirkslawcorner.com after those educational series. So, the treatise on arrest and false imprisonment, authority of law, that stuff's over there on kirkslawcorner.com under the library tab. You can download those books. Okay. So, in the meantime, pray to God, stock up on food and water, be prepared. Okay. We're going to have a little bit of famine. That's why this big heat waves come through. They're trying to burn us out. Okay. We know they're in control of the weather, right? We know all that. Oh, it's global warming. Well, let's see. Why don't you turn off your weather machines? How about you just totally dismantle them? Shut them off, tear them down. Then let's see what kind of weather we have, where Mother Nature is actually in control of our weather again. Then we'll see about this global warming crap. Now, I'll admit, possibly climate change, but until we stop manipulating the weather with machines, how are we supposed to know what the truth and the reality is? Yeah, think about that for a minute or two or 5 or 10, however long you need to think about that. And going back to what was just right in there, that they want to kill off 90% of the world's population and make the rest the slaves. And they would put them on the coastal lines. So that's so they could do the importing and exporting, right? And stack them in apartment buildings on top of each other. And all you do is you get up, you go to work, and you go home and you go to sleep. You get up, you go to work, you go home, you go to sleep. That's it. That's what their goal is, what their plan is. Right? So think about it. Think about your future. Hey Mark, how you doing, brother? And thank everybody for being here tonight. I know again you a lot of you people here now are uh repeat. right? You keep coming back, you keep coming back. So I want to thank you for persistently coming back, and tell your friends, bring them back, bring them over here. And I know I'm in competition with a lot of other people out there for Monday nights and Friday nights. But so I thank you all for the ones that are here, because you could be somewhere else. But I'll be honest, I've checked out some other stuff, and it's like it's the same old crap. We already know about that crap. They don't know about law stuff. Okay. So again, if you'd like to help support the channels here, keep the bills paid, and help fund what we got going on, I'd greatly appreciate it. We'd all greatly appreciate it. And that's over at the office, 6477 West Fairview Avenue, Suite C as in Charlie, Boise, Idaho, 83704. All right. So thank you all for being here. Much love. And all patriots worldwide, thank you for being here and watching. I know some of you watch at a different time than right now. You're probably sleeping, right? Or getting ready to wake up. So have a great weekend, everybody. Take care of your own health. Don't trust. Don't trust them. Don't do it. Take care of yourself. Okay. Have a wonderful night. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you back here for Monday Night Law. All right. Good night, everybody.